Hello, Stitchy friends! How is everybody doing? I hope you're all doing well and enjoying spring if it's hitting you. Welcome to the channel. My name is Andrew. This is the Runner Stitcher. This is my dog Winston. And this is a channel where I talk primarily about cross stitch and what I'm up to with stitching. I also talk a little bit about my running journey and what's going on with that. And yeah, if you're new here, welcome. You're very welcome here. I'm so glad you joined us for the day, and I hope you enjoy what you see. And if you are a returning subscriber, I thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me to just go over what I've been working on. I wanted to start out today's video just with a huge thank you to everybody who commented and said they enjoyed the video last week with my mom. We had a ton of fun making that. So if you missed that one, definitely go back and check it out. We had a good time making it, and she was so excited to share her projects, which I absolutely love. I think she did a great job with them, and it was just lovely to see all the nice comments from you all enjoying a hobby that's not cross stitch, but is a little different with diamond art, and nice to know that you appreciated it as well. So thank you so much for the kind comments with that. We had a lot of fun. I also just wanted to say real quick that I think what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to create a playlist of for each month that I'll list all of the monthly or the weekly videos that I've had for that month in that playlist. So if you happen to fall behind on the channel or you're not keeping up with the weekly videos, you could just go back to that playlist and kind of watch all of them for that month at the end of the month. So I'm going to start doing that, and hopefully that will be helpful for some of you so it doesn't get sort of lost in the shuffle. If you want to go back and just kind of watch the whole playlist, you can. Otherwise, yeah, maybe you're just keeping up fine with the weekly videos, and that's perfect. As far as running goes this week, I've had a really good running week, despite it being very busy since Andrew was here, and we had a lot of fun just sort of doing other things. I was able to get some good runs in, and the weather has just been perfect. I think the last week in Florida has been the best weather we've had since I've been here. The mornings are still cool. They're in the 50s, low 50s. The afternoons heat up to the mid 80s. The sun has been out, and it's just been really lovely. No humidity, and I've just really been enjoying it. So it's kind of perfect for running in that you get up in the morning and it's still, there's a little coolness in the air, which is wonderful to run with. And so I've really been enjoying it. But I did have a longer run on the weekend on Saturday. It was a 9-mile run. And since Andrew was here, he decided he would bike alongside me. So we got to do that, which was a lot of fun. We got up in the morning and biked. It's about 9 miles to the beach. So I ran, he biked beside me. We ran the 9 miles out to the beach and went to our favorite donut spot. And my parents met us there and picked us up, and we put the bike on the back of their car so we didn't have to ride back another 9 miles. We could just hop in the car with them. But we had a really good time. I'll see if I have any pictures and maybe be putting them up as I'm talking. But really good donuts and just a lovely view out at the beach. And the rest of the weekend that he was here, we had a really good time. It was just really nice. We went for a longer bike ride on Sunday. I think it was about 13 to 14 miles. My dad made us a really tasty pancakes and eggs breakfast when we got back from that. We got to spend the day at the pool, at my aunt's pool, and just kind of enjoying a cookout and some pool weather together. And yesterday we went to my favorite beach along the way, which is super flat, white sand, and just really pretty. And it was probably the most perfect beach day yesterday. So really enjoyed that. And just getting to spend the time with Andrew was so nice. And yeah, it was a really good time. So we took him back to the airport this morning, and yeah, now he's headed back to New York, and I will be too in the next couple of weeks. So then we'll be back to our life in New York. But yeah, it was really fun. So I wanted to share that with you. But I know you're here for the stitching, so let's jump right into that. It probably will be a little bit of a shorter video this week, as I didn't get quite as much stitching. Since the last time I saw you, I was able to add in 2,071 stitches. So definitely a lighter week for me, but I didn't stitch at all while Andrew was here. I just enjoyed every minute of him being here and spending it with my family, and there just wasn't downtime for stitching. Or when there was downtime, we were just kind of all relaxing together or playing a game of some sort. So yeah, a little lighter on the stitching, and that is totally fine. I've got 4 whips for you this week. Those are works in progress, pieces that I'm in the middle of working on. So let's go ahead and jump into the whips that I used for temperature stitching. So the first one is Autumn is as Joyful. This is by Lila Studio. And I will put a video in here of where it was when I started. All right, here's my starting point for Autumn is as Joyful. And I'm going to be working in right here in this little motif that I've already started a few stitches in, but hopefully I'll be able to finish that with the temperature stitching call this week, and you'll see it soon. And here is what it's going to look like in the end. It's just this beautiful Quaker by Lila Studio. I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, it's going to be gorgeous when it's done. All right, so you saw where I was last time. This was called for only one day of temperature stitching, but I did kind of keep going a little bit, so I actually got 170 stitches in, and that puts me at 11.2% on this piece. And basically what I did this time is this cute little motif right here with, I think this is either a wolf maybe, that's kind of looking at this flower design, but the color of this gives me sort of like full moon vibes, just with a Quaker style, what I'm calling a moon. So in my mind, this is sort of like a werewolf looking at the moon, but it could also be a fox and just a Quaker design or a flower as well. But yeah, that is the motif I worked on. So I kept going for 170 stitches because I wanted to finish that little part. And yeah, this is what it looks like so far. I am stitching this on a 40 count. This is Winter's Brew by R&R Reproductions, and I'm stitching it with the Vicky Clayton silks, and I'm using one strand over 2 linen threads for this. And I absolutely love the Vicky Clayton silks. I cannot speak highly enough of them. I will be doing all of these Quakers, these seasonal Quakers with the Vicky Clayton silks, and it just makes me so excited. So that was Autumn is as Joyful for temperature stitching. All right, next up we've got Fruits of Plenty, and this was called for 4 days of stitching with temperature stitching. And I'll put a picture in here of I'll put a video in here of where it was when I started last week. Here is my starting point for Fruits of Plenty this week. This is coming out for temperature stitching, so I'll get a couple hundred stitches in, and I think I'm going to try to work on this motif here, probably try to fill in a little bit more of the green here, and maybe continue with some of the borders around the outside, so we'll see how far I get. And here is what the piece is going to look like, except of course mine is done in greens, but that is the beautiful piece that Jacob has designed from Modern Folk Embroidery, the Fruit of Plenty. And now let's see where I got to. So I was able to add in 408 stitches. This puts me at 42.56%. And what did I work on this time? I think this time I worked more on this circle here. So I did a lot of filling in with this green along the edges. I did all of the border rows that sort of go around the outside and inside. There's, I think, 6 of those green sort of border rows in this piece. I still have a few of them to complete right here, but I got a big chunk done. And then I started working on the little leaf motifs, or the little motifs in there in the center, the little snowflakes. So there's 4 more of those to go as well. So I'm not done with that circle motif, but definitely got a big chunk done. And I think that's kind of all I worked on. I don't think I added anything in the vines here. I think that was all done last time, if I'm not mistaken, but you will know better than me because you just saw the video. So yeah, this is the Fruit of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery. I'm stitching this on a 32 count smoky white linen, and it's kind of like vintage country mocha where it's printed on this side. So there's a little bit of sort of grayish modeling on this piece of fabric. And then the other side is just white. And I'm stitching this with 2 DMCs. I think it's 890 and 320 maybe. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. But I think those are the two colors. So I'm stitching a 2/2. And yeah, just a beautiful piece. I'm so happy. I've said this before, but I'm so happy with the progress I've gotten here in Florida. This piece always reminds me of being in Florida because it's where I started it. And now a big chunk of this piece has been done while I was here. So that will always hold that memory in the stitching, which I love. And my final temperature stitching piece was Put a Bird on It. This is also by Modern Folk Embroidery. And I will put a video in here of where I was when I started. All right, here's my starting point for Put a Bird on It. I'm going to continue working on this motif here, and we'll see how far I get. And here is what it's going to look like in the end, sort of. Mine is done monochromatically in silks from Bestitch Me, so it'll be all yellow. But this is what the piece will look like. This was called for, I think, 300 stitches for temperature stitching, but I went ahead and decided to make it my focus piece for the week because I knew I wouldn't have as much stitching, but I still wanted to at least touch this piece this month, give it a little bit of focus time. So since the last time you saw me, I was able to add in 811 stitches, and that bumps me up to 48.76% on this piece, which is great, almost hitting the 50% mark. And I know 800 stitches was enough to sort of, I think, do the monthly stitching that I had to do, so that's fine. And you know, when I pull it back out for another rotation, then hopefully I'll be able to get more and have a better week on it. But here is where I'm at now. So you guys, friends, you're not going to believe it, but I finally did it. I put a bird on it. I finally put my first bird right here, this beautiful swan-like piece. She's gorgeous. I love how the variegation came out where she's got this like brownish in her tail feathers and yeah, just really happy with that. But I thought, you know what, it's time. The piece is called Put a Bird on It. I had no birds on mine, so it was time I put the bird on it. But I also finished this motif here. I did all the stitching down here. I added in some letters here and there, maybe a few numbers here and there. I think I might have added this 6 over here, maybe this 9 as well. I also did this motif here in the center right here, and also added in the 3 right there. So kind of jumped all over with this piece this week, but yeah, really happy to progress is progress, and 800 stitches in, and I've got my first bird. So this is stitched on a 32 count tartan green linen that is not so fun to stitch with, but I think really looks beautiful in the final piece. Try to use myself as a so you can see what it really looks like. But it's beautiful with this silk, and I love the outcome, but it is not the easiest to stitch on. So I can't recommend necessarily this fabric, but it was from a stash that I had bought, and I'm glad I'm using it up, and I'm glad it's turning out how it is. But I'm using the Bestitch Me silks. This is in the colorway Dandelion, and I'm stitching 2 over 2. And I'm not fussy cutting the silk. I'm just sort of letting the colors go as they go. And yeah, it's turning out pretty good. So again, this is for the Stitch Along with EJ from the Sunshine Stitchers. I think it's hashtag Put a Bird on It, Sal. And the goal is to finish this by the end of the year. So I am now sort of caught up, I believe, and yeah, happy to be back on track. And hopefully we'll have this done by the end of the year, which is wonderful. This probably will not come back out while I'm here in Florida again. I doubt it will come out for another focus week until May at some point, but it will still be called for temperature stitching, so you'll still get to see bits and pieces here and there, a little progress. Okay, the final whip I've got for you then is SAGA, because I couldn't leave it out for the week. And yeah, so SAGA, I was able to add in 682 stitches since the last time you saw it. That puts me at 33.2% of the piece. I will put a video in here of where I was when I started. Okay, here is my starting point for SAGA for this week. I am going to start filling in this arch. So hopefully you will see a little bit more of the detail inside there when you see this in right now. And it's kind of hard to see, but here is what it's going to look like in the end. Arches of beautiful scenes and stories and animals, and just so much in this piece. I really, really do love it. And before I get into the stitching for the week, we've got a SAGA story. So sit tight. This is a little bit of a longer one, so I will try to read through this as quickly as I can and still, just hopefully I get it all down. So, okay, this story is called Appearances Can Be Deceptive. Ivy, the short-sighted octopus, has led a very sheltered life. She spends most of her time just hanging out in her den, which can only be entered through a small crevice and some rocks. She likes watching daytime television, knitting with 8 needles, and tending her small garden of corals. But one day, having watched a program about travel broadening the mind and bringing new experiences, she decided to give it a go and swam off the coast in search of adventure. Ivy traveled far and wide, gaining in knowledge and maturity as she went. But when hitherto unknown feelings of physical attraction and emotion finally struck this inexperienced young female with 3 hearts, she fell hook, line, and sinker, hopelessly, helplessly in love with the object of her desire. Were this sampler in color, you'd see that she has even turned a deep pink, as her species so often do, and even the texture of her skin has changed. She's got goosebumps. Being very myopic and a little vain too, Ivy refuses to wear spectacles, so she thinks her love is a handsome young kraken, one of the fabled creatures from Old Norse legend which live off the coast of Norway. And she's even started showering her love with gifts of fishes, as some female octopods feel the urge to do as part of their courtship rituals. Poor little Ivy. She's in for a nasty shock when she tries to give her kraken a kiss and finally discover that he's really a Lila-class submarine 2027 of the Norwegian Navy, out on exercises around the SAGA Strait. The guy in the little sailing boat has hoisted more sail and is trying to get out of the way as fast as possible, as he doesn't want to get involved. And the long-eared owl, who's just been taking a rest on the conning tower, having been blown off his migratory course during a storm, is of much the same mind. He doesn't give 2 hoots about the bizarre infatuation unfolding beneath his feet. Maybe love will find a way, but in Ivy's case, it's doubtful. Time to go home, little lady, and get on with your knitting. So, the octopus story for Ivy was very entertaining when I read it, and she's fallen in love with a submarine. So let's go see what I was able to get stitched. All right, here we are. This is the arch that I stitched in, and basically you can see Ivy is there. So I completed the little house and the trees of the shoreline kind of above Ivy, the octopus, and then I completed all of her. And as you can see, if you get close enough, hopefully that's clear for you, you can see she's got 3 fish in her tentacles. And those are the gifts that she's going to give for the submarine. Now, the story talked about the submarine and also the owl. The owl is going to come into play right here. So I haven't started him yet. And the submarine comes in down here. So that will be sort of the completion of the story. Hopefully I'll get pretty far on this till next week and then can really share, or you'll really see the full story sort of come to life. This is so hard to wrangle now. But yeah, that is what I worked on. I loved it so much that even though I was done with my stitches I needed for the day, I couldn't put it down. So I kept stitching until Ivy was fully complete. You'll also see that under her, there's some back stitching for the waves. That will go all the way across to the column of the arch. So I've still got some more back stitching there to do. And I think other than that, there's a little bit more back stitching in the submarine area as well. But yeah, just another great story from Log Dog as you would expect. But exciting to be getting very close to a finish on this first sort of 3/4 or half arch on the 3rd row. So here is what Saga looks like as a whole. Again, I'm stitching this on a 36 count vintage country mocha. I'm using the Silks for You PR207, and I'm stitching this 1 strand over 2 linen threads, and it is just a joy. So I hope you enjoyed that Saga story and a little bit of what's in the arch, and stay tuned next week to see hopefully the completed arch. The submarine is a bigger piece, so I don't know if I'll get it all done, but I will probably get close. Also, the submarine has the year 2027, as you heard me read in the story. I think I'm going to put 202 for 2020, but I don't think I'm going to put in the 7 yet. I think if I finish this piece in 2028, which is the goal, I think I'd like to change that 7 to an 8. So I'm going to kind of work around that one little section and kind of chart out how I could make the 8. But that's sort of my plan. But I don't want to put the 8 in yet because I don't want to jinx myself. It's still a big piece, and there's still a lot to go. I did hit the 30,000 mark on stitches, so there's less than 70,000 stitches to go, but it's still a big piece, still a long way, and I just want to make sure I'm actually going to finish it before I solidify the year. So, and yeah, those were my works in progress for the week. So the only other thing I have to share with you is plans, and we'll go ahead and start with temperature stitching. So I'm going to put a picture up here of the chart for the week of what I have to stitch. So this week, the Put a Bird on It got called for 3 days, so that will be 300 stitches. The My Choice for Autumn is Joyful got called for 3 days as well, so that will get 300 stitches. And the final piece, which is the Witch Whip piece, Fruits of Plenty, that got called for 1 day, which is perfect because that 1 day completes the cycle for the Fruit of Plenty in Witch Whip. So I will get that done this week for sure, which that means it's time for a new Witch Whip. Now, if you're new here, Witch Whip is where you guys get to decide on what piece I put in for temperature stitching for that category, with a goal of reaching 1,000 stitches in temperature stitching. Typically, I would spin the wheel for all of my projects and pick 2 projects. That way you could vote on which one you want to see get more progress. Since I'm in here in Florida, I don't have all my projects with me. So I've created a separate Witch Whip wheel with just the pieces that I have here in Florida. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and spin this wheel and pick 2 projects, and you guys will get to vote on which you want to be the next Witch Whip. So here we go. Let's see what the first one is. Okay, we've got Put a Bird on It. Do you want me to power through that and see some more progress on Put a Bird on It? Or let's go with the second option here. The second choice is, Garden Surprise. Okay, that is the new piece that I started a few weeks ago with the mouse. So let me grab that real quick. I've got it right here. So this is Garden Surprise, and how far I got. It's this cute little mouse in the flowering pot. There's more to the flowering pot here. There's a garden shovel, another mouse in the corner, some flowers. It's a very springy piece, and it was so much fun to work on. So this is Garden Surprise. So in the comments this week, please let me know whether you would want me to work on Garden Surprise or Put a Bird on It for the Witch Whip temperature stitching piece. And you can say anything. You can say mouse, you can say the garden project, you can say bird, whatever you want to distinguish between the two, and I will look through and count up the votes. So I'm excited to see what you guys will pick this time. So that is Witch Whip, and that will be ready for next week then when we do temperature stitching. The only other plan I have for the week is my focus piece, and that is going to be The Bee Queen by Tiny Modernist. Now, I told you last week that I was switching out my WhipGo chart. So the goal for this piece will be to get 2,300 stitches. Here is what this beautiful piece is going to look like. She is so much fun. I started this last May, and I'm very, very excited to get back to her and get some progress in this week. So 2,300 stitches is the goal. And I'll go ahead and show you where I'm starting on this, if I can find it. All right, so here is where I'm starting. So I've got the flowers and the bees sort of coming down on either side. I've got her face completed and sort of the top part of her dress there. I'm not sure where I will continue working. I have a feeling I'm going to start in more of her like bodice down here. And also maybe I'll come on this side and sort of bring the flowers down further. I'm not sure, but I do want to get back to her. So that's probably where I'll head first, but that's my starting point. So come back next week and you'll see how far I got. Hopefully 2,300 stitches to at least complete the WhipGo call for the month. And that will be a lot of fun. And yeah, I think that's all I've got for you this week. So thank you so much for joining me and tuning in to see what I'm up to. This community has just meant so much to me. I have met so many people through this, and it's been great to connect and share our love of stitching together. And I just want to make sure you all know that I appreciate that. It's really been been such a great adventure, and I'm so happy to share everything with you. I in no way want you to think that I'm an expert at cross stitching, but I do really enjoy learning, and I do really enjoy stitching and sharing my pieces with you of where I am. I also love hearing what you're working on in the comments. It's been so great to kind of discover some new patterns or just hear what you've been working on while you've been watching and stitching along with me. So again, thank you so much. Your support of the channel means the world, and if you aren't subscribed, go ahead, click the subscribe button if you liked what you saw. And if not, as everyone says, there are so many floss tubers out there. It's amazing. You will definitely find one that you click with and connect with. And yeah, I just wanted to say that at the end of the video. So thank you so much again for joining. Keep running if you're a runner. Always keep stitching, and be kind to whoever you meet on your journey. Bye for now. Until the next stitch.